Hey everybody, it's Matt DeWolf, Editor-in-Chief Car Wash Magazine, and your host on another episode of Car Wash Magazine Live. It's a great show lined up for you guys today. Every show's a great show, obviously. First things first, I want to say if you're watching this live, make sure that you engage in the conversation with questions. We cannot guarantee any great answers, but we can ask your questions in the feed here below. That's the first thing. The second thing, I want to say another thank you to Jimmy Branch for sending me this great swag a couple weeks ago. I'm not going to put this on again today. I still haven't figured out my instruction sheet, but I will wear it as pirate for one of these shows. If you want to send me swag, I love swag. So, you know, send away. I will wear it. I will wear it with honor and humility for you. So, let's get going, shall we? A couple things for you this week. Number one, I want to talk about data real quick. Okay, so data is great. You know, it's a great way for us to be able to make smart business decisions, to do the right thing, to see trend lines that are coming around the corner. But data doesn't mean anything without some perspective. And so if you're only looking at your own data, that's only one data point. You need more than that. So International Car Wash Association has these industry pulse surveys that they've been doing for a couple of months now. One of those just went out today. It's one for operators, one for suppliers in the U.S. Make sure that if you receive that, one person from your company fill that out, because what you're going to get back is we're going to compile all that data, we're going to create a report, and we're going to be able to share that with you so you can get a sense of how the industry as a whole is doing and get a little bit of sentiment around that so that you can take how you're doing in your personal operation and kind of ground that, benchmark that against something and know kind of what's coming. So make sure you take full advantage of those. That link, carwash.org/industry-pulse. So make sure you do that. All right. In this episode, before we get too far down the path here, we've got Blake Newman from Launch Car Wash in Oklahoma. He's going to join us. He's relatively new to the car wash industry, believe it or not, but his star is shining pretty bright right now, and we're going to get to him in just a minute. But before we get to blast off, I want to get to my favorite part of the show, which is jokes. So this week's joke, we're going to talk about brand, so we're trying to stay on brand this week. We've got Launch Car Wash, so this is a space joke for you this week. Are you ready? This is going to be a good one, guys. All right. How do you get a baby astronaut to go to sleep? You rock it. Yeah, that's what's up. All right. Hey, like I've always said, you guys, you are stuck with my jokes until you send me your jokes. So that's all you get. We're going to get into Blake here in a second. We're going to have Blake live and in the flesh in a minute. But we're going to share right now a really awesome backstory video on Blake's story, how he got into the industry, provided by VacuTech. It's a really great kind of cinematic approach to telling his story. So sit back, relax, and enjoy it.
Right out of college, I didn't want to get the typical 9-to-5 job. So what I did is I was just working on the skills I had. I was waiting tables and detailing cars. And then the opportunity presented itself for me to take over a failing self-serve. It was a 10-bay spray bay with 2 automatics with paid vacuums. So I saw it as an opportunity to get in to a larger business that has a relatively high barrier to entry at basically no cost. The opportunity itself to most people was highly unattractive. Not a lot of people want to start their first business in a loss or take over something that needs major renovations or repairs. I was there pretty much from sun up to sundown for the first couple months, just learning and expecting things to just go wrong and break. Since the business was failing and there wasn't much there, it was kind of getting handed like a clunker and trying to turn it into a Ferrari. It was a difficult process, and I got it working well. Just like if you put time into an older vehicle, you can get it running right, but it's still an older car at the end of the day. I could only handle one car at a time in each bay, which with where the location was at, was not appropriately handling the traffic and the demand for a car wash. I joined Talk Car Wash. I had a lot of different people that I networked with, and I started educating myself on what I could do to increase revenue. The whole purpose of Talk Car Wash is to create an operator-focused community that makes everyone's washes better. So instead of there being a bunch of secret information out there, it's like the latest and greatest of what people are kind of trying, and then we're all able to collaborate. So then I started journeying into, hey, what if I knocked down this whole building and I built the best car wash? Although I had owned a self-serve before, expresses are a whole nother animal. The financing was not an easy feat. So being at the time I was just 25 years old, it was rather difficult to convince the people I was involved with to do this thing. So I reverse engineered it. I did a feasibility study. I did a traffic survey of the surrounding streets. I had multiple pro formas. I had multiple industry experts that kind of validified our actual idea. And then at the end of the day, the model, the plans, all of it had a very strong evaluation. So that showed the bank that, hey, this isn't just a crazy idea, that it actually has a value. I don't think any operator can be too prepared to start a car wash. So instead of just jumping into it, just buying something out of the magazine or acquiring some other car wash, I wanted to start it from scratch. So that means I had to learn everything. And I think that is one of the best things an operator can do, is try to learn all the different departments of the car wash versus just focusing on getting it open or getting someone to do all the work for you. The more you know for yourself, that empowers you to be more successful sooner. So our first 3 days of operation, we were doing free car washes, and we washed over 2,500 cars with no experience. So every one of my staff had never washed cars before. I had only washed cars in the self-serve environment, and we were just kind of gung-ho and eager to learn. And so when we're on site, everyone is kind of like-minded and all about getting better and improving, and that really starts with their personal life. So with full-time people, I don't like to overwork them. I like to have a great quality of life balance and to really just provide a place that they want to go to. So when we first opened, we actually had trouble getting people to clock out. Just because we created such a fun and impactful environment, they felt like they were actually making a difference in the business because they were. Over my travels, the biggest thing I noticed was that although maybe the car washes were successful, there wasn't an external focus on the experience or the way they were making people feel. Since we're experience first, car wash second, everything they come in contact with is branded, it's a part of the theme. There's an attention to detail, whether it's the lava rock or the shape of the panels on the building or the black tunnel environment with the lighting. We're doing everything we can to give them an experience they've never had before and that they want to come back and have other people experience it with them. The tunnel is 135 feet long. We have more equipment than the typical car wash for that length. We also have 21 free vacuum spots with 42 crevice tools, so we have a tool on each side of the vehicle. We have 2 50 horsepower turbines in our vacuum area, and then we also have 3 kiosk lanes. All 3 lanes have license plate recognition. 1 lane has RFID. In the first 6 months, we've washed 65,000 cars. We have had over 1,600 active unlimited members. We have over 5,600 app downloads with over 85% of people using the application once downloading. A lot of people see it now in its form and they're like, how could anybody doubt what this has become? It's such a success. You're washing so many cars. You have 1,000 car days. Instead of taking that doubt and those no's as an original failure, I just kept pushing through to keep making the idea and the tunnel and the experience better so that it couldn't get told no. I think success at the wash is just having happy people and happy customers and people leaving with clean, shiny, dry cars. I think it's rather simplified. I have intentions of launching a global brand. We want to be able to go into any market in any town and be able to serve that community with excellence. So with our systems and processes and routine way of doing business, we believe that we can consistently offer a world-class car wash experience.
All right, so the man, the myth, the legend, Blake Newman is here with me. Blake, welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir. Blessed and honored to be here.
Hey, so awesome story. I'm so glad that we get to share some of that background and some of the no pun intended successful launch of launch. That's not true. A pun was intended. Hey, I know that a lot of that comes from your kind of attention to detail, right? And like focusing on details and really kind of diving in, taking care of things both in your personal life and when it comes to the brand that is Launch Car Wash. Talk to me a little bit about where that comes from for you and like why that matters.
Yeah, so I've always believed that the little things matter, and if you're faithful with the small things, you know, the big things will come to pass as well. So us being focused on the experience and on the branding, I believe all those small little details add up. So when the guest is arriving on the property and they're looking around, you know, we're selling clean, we're selling professional uniforms, the branding, everything they touch, everything they see, there's a thought behind it, and that's driving the brand through that static message. And I believe when you put that thought into the environment with the brand in mind, that it can tell a lot of your story naturally and organically all the time.
Yeah, you know, the interesting thing for me about brand, and we could talk for hours and hours and hours about this, but you all do a really nice job of making brand about more than just the logo or the color palette or the fonts. And you see this really like with the major brands, they do this really well. Brand is not, you know, what color your shoes are or your shirt is. Now that might be a detail that matters, but ultimately the brand goes deeper than that, and it's much more than that. Talk a little bit about how you guys bring that to life at Launch.
Yeah, absolutely. So our goal is to become the Disney World of car washes with an Apple-esque user interface, with customer service like Chick-fil-A, with a Christ-centered culture. So it makes for a really unique environment because not only are we showing people love, God's grace, and kindness, but we're just looking to make an impact on the guest day and in our employees' lives. So it's just a really positive environment.
Okay, I'm going to play that back real quick. Disneyland of car washes, Apple user interface, Chick-fil-A culture, Christ-centered. What was the last one?
So it's Chick-fil-A customer service and then a Christ-centered culture.
Culture.
So.
Yep. Okay. Perfect. All right. So the thing that I love about that is that you're looking at more than just the car wash industry for inspiration, right? You're looking outside of car washing. You're looking at big global brands. You're reading things like like Disney's Be Our Guest book, right, about customer service, to be able to like inspire what you do and the decisions you make. Tell me about how that manifests like in kind of every day at the wash. Like, how does that show up for you?
Yeah, so when designing the concept and the brand, we actually went out, it's called Guestology, and we went out and surveyed the public, and we wanted to build this concept and this experience with the guests in mind. So I feel like a lot of operators approach this from a budget standpoint or out of a magazine or copying others versus going to their local market and figuring out what their actual guests or their potential customers are looking for. So we took those things into consideration and ran them through filters, and we really made sure that we were meeting all of those needs. So when we opened up, it was like the car wash was built and designed for them. So when they were using us for the first time, there was more of an inclination to continue to use us.
Well, and one of the keys to what Disney's institute and how they kind of go about it is to like go out and see, right, and like be the customer. At the end of the day, you got to be the customer, and you did that in kind of like a big way before you even got into this whole thing called car wash. How many washes have you visited now?
Yeah, so while I was owning and operating the self-serve, I traveled the country and visited over 1,000 car washes, and I really wanted to kind of educate myself and experience the industry and the state that it was. And what I really found out, even after visiting a lot of the top operations, that they may have had a well-oiled machine when it came to the business model, but there was not a lot of focus on the experience and on making people feel a certain way or really creating an environment for everyone to enjoy, not only the guests, but the employees. You know, a lot of people say they're people first and people focused, but our feedback at the car wash is centered around the people. So we really ensure that not only are they in the right frame or feel good that day, but they know the impact of how they feel, how that makes the customer feel. So we really focus on those small little details, on the ability for us to make an impact through our interactions at the car wash.
If you guys are just joining us on the program, this is Matt DeWolf, editor-in-chief of Car Wash Magazine. With me is Blake Newman from Launch Car Wash in Oklahoma. We're talking brand, we're talking process, we're talking secrets to success, all things car washing. Blake, let's get into process a little bit, okay? So, like, you know, you visited a ton of washes, you saw what they were doing. How has that kind of influenced what you do from a process perspective and what you've kind of implemented at Launch?
Yeah, so for one, I kind of noticed, you know, there was a lot of decision makers or a lot of things revolved around key individuals. And I wanted to create simplified processes to empower all of the staff. 4 to 6 easy steps to handle all of our different environments and certain situations and form situational awareness. We do a lot of role play and kind of guiding them as we onboard them. And that really sets them up for success so that when they are handling those sensitive situations and crucial conversations, they're representing our brand and our core values, how we would want to represent them during their normal days at work.
Well, and how does that, like, how do you keep it intentionally simple? I mean, it's real easy to like make a list that's 15 items long, right, to be able to do, but how do you come back and say, no, like, we only need 3 steps, we don't need 10 steps?
Yeah, so we kind of like make the importance behind that due to how much we have to do it. So with the car wash, there's a lot of repetition. You know, if we have to repeat 20 steps 20 times a day versus 3 to 5 steps, you know, that kind of wears down a lot of the younger demographics. So with them having a more simplified way of handling the business, although there is a lot going on, they may only be responsible for a few key things, and they can do them with excellence. And with it being simplified, we don't have to micromanage them, and they take more ownership of their day at work and their everyday interactions.
I love that. I love that that phrase you just said. They can do it with excellence. I mean, it's a lot easier to do 3 things excellent than it is to do 14 things excellent, right?
Absolutely.
So okay, so simplify the process, make it repeatable. So then how do we make sure that we keep the people well trained on those things, and how do we keep them kind of up to speed?
So it's really just keeping it ongoing. You know, the best businesses I've studied are always focused on training. You know, you don't ever let go of your processes. You know, you have to guide, govern, and guard. You know, so it's very important that we do everything we can to, you know, protect those processes, because if we get busier and we start slacking on our process, then things are going to unravel, and they're going to expect, you know, things to not be the same with the wash if we're slacking on our uniforms, or if the parking lot is dirty, or if the kiosk screens have fingerprints. So we focus on all those individual aspects, those variables of the customer experience, to guarantee our success at the end of the day.
Okay, so simplify the process, repeat the process, train them on the process. What else? What are we missing?
Yeah, so, and then really it's just all about educating, you know, so we're a no hassle business. You know, we have a real, you know, strong focus on our membership and on our process, but we're really just trying to share information with our guests and with our employees. So we like to build that belief of why we're doing things. So with educating them more on the process and the things that are going on behind the scenes, they believe it more, so they're more inclined to do it every day versus us continually having to bring it up in a negative atmosphere. So we have a lot of different accountability tools as a staff that, you know, focus on positive encouragement and redirection, so that they are always, you know, in that forward-thinking mindset of, hey, I'm here to grow and I'm here to improve, and that carries through into their personal life.
You know, you tell the story with your people about, you know, in those first few weeks and months of operation, you were having a hard time getting people to clock out. You know, that's a that can be a really good thing if it's for the right reasons, right? You don't want them not clocking out because they want the paycheck. But but how did you like? I mean, what was it about that environment that was making it somewhere that they just didn't want to leave, that they wanted to like feel like it was home?
Well, I treat everyone like people, and being a boss, I've had lots of bad bosses. Growing up, had lots of jobs, so I always viewed leadership as it was an opportunity to make a difference. And even when someone messes up, that's an opportunity to coach them and have them have a prime example of what not to do. So we kind of use that as an opportunity to move forward. But at the end of the day, it's just creating buy-in and telling them the reason, why we do things, who we are, our core values. We start with those in our foundation, and we really make sure we have the right people in the right spots, and then we kind of give them the right tools, and the rest is history.
Yeah, it goes back to like, just empower your people, make them feel good about what they're doing, give them something that they can do really well. Like you said, like, perform those couple tasks with excellence. That's super important and super helpful, I think, as you're thinking about in this industry, trying to create an experience for people, not just, going to the car wash, right?
Yeah, and young people are looking for someone to lead them. So we focus on discipline and discipleship. So they understand the implications of their decisions, and not that I'm going to get onto them, but they know that I'm holding them accountable for the stuff that they signed up for. And a lot of people just have never been held to a higher standard. So that is shown to our guests that not only am I holding myself to a higher standard, but our full staff is buying into hey, this is bigger than just the car wash. We're trying to make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, if you guys are just joining us, if you've just launched into this program here, we are talking with Blake Newman from Launch Car Wash in Oklahoma. I'm Matt DeWolf, editor-in-chief of Car Wash Magazine. We're going through all things brand. We're talking about things that go a little bit deeper than just washing cars. So welcome to the program if you're just joining us. Blake, one of the things that you just touched on that I think is super important, and I think that you'll agree in terms of how you got to where you are today, is this concept of giving back your time and sharing your experiences with folks. Tell me a little bit about how that's kind of helped you and why that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I've always been a big believer in personal growth and development. And, a lot of people that get into this industry or are looking to get into this industry, they have a lot of doubt, or they have limiting beliefs about whether they can compete against the big guys. And, so I challenge them to build the self-confidence through the education and through building the experience before they get to that, that next level. With my education and my travels and going to, all the different ICA events, I went to every show I could, and I was, touching my dreams. I was feeling it, and I was there, and I was around the people, and I was talking about it like I was doing it, and my watch wasn't even built yet. So I think a lot of people think they have to take that huge step before they build all that experience and knowledge. And, the more prepared you are, the more you surround yourself with people that you want to be like, the better you are, set up for success.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, it's really interesting to hear you talk about how you basically, you're faking it until you made it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, like I thought it to be true. Like I didn't accept no as an answer. And, in the process, I became a whole new person. And I really focused on my relationship with Christ and my relationship with, people around me and my mentors, and, put my head on the right things. And, it kind of came to be true. And now we have a platform in the community, washing a lot of cars. People know that we have a standard and a level of excellence, and that we demand that. And, if it isn't met, then people know that we're going to do something to get them there. So building that belief and that trust, those are brand drivers. And we're not just trying to get them to come to our car wash. We're trying to remove car wash and it just be launch. And that's what we're really focusing on, is building that brand, attaching our concept to an old way of doing things. And that's empowering to the guests, because people like new and exciting stuff.
Yeah.
People like to adopt technology. They like to empower themselves to do a part of the process with our really strong vacuums, our free towels. People love that stuff. A lot of people think that it doesn't really matter because it's not technically driving revenue, but that's the only thing the guest is experiencing on the visit. So, that's where we really put a lot of our attention to detail on, is like our trash, our towels, our vacuum suction, our kiosk, those environments, because those are where they're touching our business. Inside the car wash, it soaks all over the car, and then
Right.
it's clean, shiny, and dry. But if they get out and it looks like a ghost town, and the vacuums don't work, and you have a towel clean but it's empty, or they're not folded and they're just thrown in there, that could be the difference maker on if they come back.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like as you go through, and if you're operating a wash and clean, dry, and shiny is not something that you're able to do, you might be in the wrong industry. I mean, just saying,
Yeah.
you might be doing it wrong.
That should be a given. I think a lot of people put too much focus on driving, revenue or adding new equipment or lights. I think there should be more focus on training and their people, and how can we create a better environment for growth for everyone versus just the business.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit. This concept of over the years we've said this at ICA events, and I've heard ICA CEO Eric Wolf talk about this concept of raising the bar, right? Like lifting all ships. Talk a little bit about that and kind of what you want to do there.
Yeah, so it's really my mission to raise the bar when it comes to the customer experience and brand recognition. Car wash has always been like a huge staple of the community, but normally, talking there's not a lot of loyalty. It's like, yeah, it's just the wash I go to. I normally get the middle one. There's no like I get that package or that car wash. So I really want to raise that bar on impacting the people in the community and touching them with the brand. So a lot of different, chains are working on community outreach and making a difference in the community. At launch, our mission is to be able to give as much as we can. And so in able to give, we have to wash a lot of cars. And so I have to drive those different things to make that happen. But our end result is giving.
Hey Blake, so I just found out that everybody's favorite car wash personality is watching the show today. Brian Campbell's watching. You wanna say hi to Brian?
Hi Brian, I miss you, buddy. Can't wait to see you back at the wash.
So awesome. Yeah, we love Brian. Brian comes to just about every car wash show that there's ever been, it seems like.
Yeah. He used to come pretty much every day at the wash before coming.
Yeah, I saw the photo. You had him guiding on cars. Are you gonna give him a job or what?
Oh yeah, I would love to have him out as much as his parents will let him. It's always just a blessing and opportunity to have him come out. It makes an impact on the staff and even the guests. Him just being there, so it's always an awesome day when he shows up.
So good. That's the kind of stuff that I think really makes this industry powerful and meaningful for lots of people. Kudos to you for everything that you all are doing there at launch. I love seeing what you guys are doing. Is there anything that gives you hesitation with what you're running into? I mean, you've seen a pretty quick rise here. Growth is good. You're washing a ton of cars. Does anything make you like step back and say, okay, hold on a second, none of this can be real?
No, not really, because I put my focus on the right things. I have a really large vision for where I want to take the brand, the brand and the launch brand. But, at the end of the day, I'm trusting God's timing, and I'm doing everything I can to build this thing to be something that will last longer than myself. So with creating, multi-generational wealth and a brand that is going to last, there has to be a huge foundation built on core values and core processes that will make that a reality. Because I really want to walk out this talk that I do all the time on Talk Car Wash and share my journey, and that holds me accountable and also holds other people accountable by me sharing what I'm doing. Because they're like, hey, what if we did this a little bit differently, or what if we put a little bit more focus on this area and less on this area? And that's kind of my mission, is to just overall raise the level of excellence and focus on what we do versus it just be a passive investment for people to just wash cars.
Yeah, I love that. Let's back up a second. We got a question from Facebook that goes right into this concept of excellence, right? How do you and I talked about this last week when we were kind of preparing for the show about handling customer complaints and how to do that. How do you educate your team to address those customer complaints, especially the most like off the wall, no rationale behind what they're saying at all? How do you address those, and how do you guys turn those into positive experiences?
Yeah, so it's actually one of my most favorite things that happens at the car wash, believe it or not, is when things go wrong. And that is because we get to show who we are, and we get to show that, we're gonna listen to them. We're gonna, put ourselves in their shoes. We're gonna understand their frustration. We're gonna kind of help them lower their upset level, and teaching, our staff that conflict resolution. We're maybe not we're agreeing on what they're upset about, but we're going to partner to walk away from that situation in a better place of where they entered it. And we use those, situations where like someone's really upset or frustrated to, build a relationship and build rapport and show them that, we're human too. And, there's probably something else going on in their life. And by us not meeting them with the same level of frustration, it could make a huge difference in what else is going on in their life. So we like to be the bigger brand and the bigger person, and just turn the cheek and, show them love and kindness. And it feels really good. And it teaches the staff that normally something else is going on with that person. And they know we're an excellent car wash, and we do a lot of things to be great. And we probably, maybe we messed up, but something's lost in the translation. So it's up to us to make sure they leave a little bit happier than they were.
Yeah, but so I love that answer, but I want you to share with people what it used to be like for you when you first got into the industry.
So when I first got into the industry in 2015, I was 23 years old, and I would walk out of the equipment room and something wouldn't be working at the self-serve, and I would almost feel like I was about to get in a fight with someone because they were washing out their construction truck. And I just didn't know how to handle those conflicts because people were so generally upset with the business and how archaic it was and things weren't working. But that wasn't my fault. I was just kind of given this car wash that wasn't in a good state. And now I was there to take it from where it was to where I wanted to take it. And those situations, I had a ton of moments with guests where it just really didn't go well. And so I wanted to, in the future, especially with tearing down the facility and building the brand of my dreams, I wanted to handle all of those crucial conversations with finesse and ease and get better as they go versus getting torn down and kind of scornful towards guests. You hear a lot of times about negative mindsets towards the customer in our industry. And I think that is, so far from where it needs to be, because not only are they choosing our car wash to wash their vehicle, but they're, spending a part of their day with us. So why wouldn't we want that to be a positive experience? I'm all about making a difference in someone's day, and we have a great chance to do it in such a short amount of time. It could be a 10-second conversation or a 2-minute wash that just changes their whole day.
Right.
And we use it as a platform to bring change to our community, especially in this time where a lot of people are hurting and upset and affected from what's going on.
Yeah, and if we can take those 4 to 7 or 8 minutes of going through the wash and getting a great experience and smelling the soap and feeling good when you come out of it, I mean that's something. There's power there.
Everybody wins. No one loses in our business. The only person that loses is us if we don't put enough effort and attention into what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, so I don't want to let you off the hook too easy. I want you to share with everybody. I love this concept. I'll be the first one to show up for it. Talk about Launch World.
Yeah, so Express is just the first step. Being 28, I want to be in this industry for life, and I really want to evolve the concept of washing cars. I've been to Disney World, and I just was infatuated with their processes, with their cast members. Everyone plays a part. And I tell my staff, even if we just have 2 guys on the property, that hey, you're a role member right now. You're a part of the crew, and it's not just who you are. You're a part of the team. So I want to expound on that, and I want to create Launch World, Launch Land, global operations to where it's a full assisted car washing model. Not only to where we just have car washes, but we have other amenities that are within that lane of, auto, and then also just having more assistants, more staff, more people on site to engage with kids, with their vehicle, helping them service, whether you have an elderly couple come or someone that's disabled or someone that simply just doesn't want to wipe off their back window. Maybe have more people in the environment in, a uniform, whether they're astronauts or not, creating something that's fun, an environment. The whole concept of launch is to kind of tie into that childlike fun, spirit that we all have. Everyone has a kid-like spirit inside of them in some capacity. And, we have members that, pull in for the 300th time already, and they're like, ooh, and they're excited. So we want to create, full-on environments that aren't just, on an acre, but are mega facilities, kind of like what you see overseas, but here stateside. I would love to, be an innovator and bring in just a whole new way for people to experience what we do, because it has to evolve.
Yeah.
We're in a time now where technology is coming in, we're cleaning cars more efficiently, costs are going down, but how do we expand on the models? There was the emergence of flex, full service changing a little bit, especially as Corona. We don't know how, those business models are going to be affected in the long term. So I believe there's going to be a new model that eventually comes to the surface, and I hope to be a part of that.
Well, I think that we can say that July 2020, you heard it here first. Launch World is coming. Maybe not tomorrow, but it's coming.
The state near you.
Awesome. Hey, Blake, I could talk for the rest of today and tomorrow with you about all things car wash and beyond that, but I'm going to let you get back to the business of washing cars, and I'll catch up with you on Talk Car Wash, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I welcome everyone to join Talk Car Wash. It is a community. I did touch on it in the video, but we have about 11,500 members now, and it's a great resource and tool. You're connected to so many really top guys in the industry, and you just never know when, someone is, looking at their phone and they could, change your whole wash's day because they had that answer to your question that you needed right that second. You don't have to call tech support. You don't have to, wait for your tech guy. You have an unlimited resource, that you have at your disposal at any time. Anyone can really become a member in our industry. So why not take advantage of the platform? That's how I educated myself. I joined when there was barely any members, and now, it's huge, and it's awesome what it's become, but you have to use it. You can't, it's just like a gym. The gym is there, but you only benefit if you go.
Yeah. You mean you don't get ripped if you just think about the gym?
Exactly. So that's what I tell people, and I'm just excited to, help make a difference. And I welcome anyone to reach out to me, and I love to help people and make a difference in their wash as well.
Awesome. Blake, thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you. All right, everybody. So here's the deal. You just heard a lot of really great input from Blake Newman in Oklahoma at Launch Car Washes. We've got all things brand, all things process, all things secrets to success. We're going to give you a little tip here from our friend Champ Savage that goes back to that brand concept, and just a little tactical thing that maybe you can do as you try to figure out how to build personas.
You're out of things to post on social. I'll tell you what to do. Stop. Okay, not really. Yes, you need to market your wash. Yes, you need customers. The path doesn't require more work, but it does require the right work. Understand your customer. We'll do that by diving into the data. For example, you might know that your customer base is more female than male, or in the age range of 25 to 50. But if you really want to be relevant and keep your efforts out of the trash, you have to dig deeper. Let's build a persona. Looking at our POS and CRM, we discover that we have a lot of working moms with at least one child under the age of 14, washing on the weekends in between errands. Let's give them a name. I'm calling mine Mavery. Hey, don't judge, that's my name. You pick whatever you want. Mavery. Now I know how to talk to Mavery. It's a different approach to social, email, and even the experience at the wash. Knowing that Mavry washes on the weekends in between errands, we know she doesn't have a lot of time. I can message to the time savings that we could provide, in and out and on your way in 7 minutes or less. Or we can appeal to the lightening of the workload. Hey, we can't clean your house, but we can clean your car. Building out personas and understanding audiences can help you stay connected. You'll be relevant, you'll get better engagement, and you'll have more customers.
All right, everybody. So that's excellent advice from our friend Champ Savage about building personas, really looking at your data and finding ways to speak directly to those people who you know make up the majority of your populations in your customer base. So if you have something for Champ, he's really hard to get a hold of. Don't be offended if he doesn't respond to you right away. Ask Champ at carwash.org. Next week, my friends, we have a special treat for you. We're gonna have Ken Luttrell from Clean Sweep Car Wash on. Ken is also the current ICA president, so can't wait to get him into the hot seat. So watch out. If you guys got questions you want us to ask Ken, you can send those my way, mdewolf@carwash.org. As always, everyone, if you want to watch more episodes of Car Wash Magazine live, if you want to get more inspirational stories from the industry, you can do that at carwashmagazine.com. If you want something for the road and while you're traveling, if you are traveling, you can do that. You can subscribe to our podcast, Car Wash the Podcast. That's everywhere you're listening to your podcasts. Great conversations there. Most recently, we've got a 3-part series on the consumer study, and a lot of great conversations there. So make sure you subscribe to that. Otherwise, my friends, it's been another great week. I appreciate all of you. It's always my great privilege and my great honor to be part of this program with you. Keep it clean.